And I remember coming back home after my first session. I was like, this is an absolute waste of time. But like,
Is it not? Is it not?
it is
But,
not.
but,
It is.
but you can pay me to be your therapist now. Come on.
Welcome to another
Um,
episode of 21 Minutes, where we take 21 minutes of your life and you never get it back.
you're not taking 21 minutes of anybody's life, but go on.
Yes, it's funny because I was talking to someone recently, someone at work, and they were telling me how sometimes it's hard for them to hear me because I talk too fast. So,
Me,
I beg,
I don't think you speak too fast, Paddy.
you say?
I don't think you talk too fast.
Why you
I
say
don't
Honestly,
think.
this? I
it's
think,
not.
I
I
think,
think
You must be Igbo now. You must be Igbo.
yeah,
It's not going to be.
I think it's my assets plus my speed, right?
Oh,
So lately I've been trying to remind myself to slow down, to slow down, to slow down.
maybe it's a polite way to remind you that you've got an accent.
All right, you can call it that too. But anyways, 21 minutes episode. We'll put in the number later. But today we'll be having a very interesting conversation. We'll be talking about something that is personal. So the space today is going to be a very vulnerable space, but it's also going to be a safe space. So I invite you, OJ and Ufo, to consider this your therapy session because I know it's often not a good therapy.
Have you been to one before, Paddy? Be honest.
Is it?
Have you been to one before?
I'm actually in therapy right now. I've had a few sessions since I started. I won't lie. I started in Q4 last year, and I remember coming back home after my first session. I was like, this is an absolute waste of time. But like,
is it not? Is it not?
it is
But,
not.
but,
It is.
but you can pay me to be your therapist now. Come on. I will listen to you, bro.
It's
That was my impression at first, and part of me still think that is a waste of time, but
it has to
in the
be a waste
larger
of time.
in the grand scheme of things, it's not.
It has to be a waste of time, man.
It depends on. Anyways,
Pay
it can be a
me
waste
to
of
be
time,
your
but that's not
therapist.
what it's because today. We'll have another episode for therapy specifically. For today, I want to talk about friendship and adult friendship in particular. And this topic came up because I was talking to my friend recently. He was even in my side for the holidays. He came from Vancouver. And I was just talking about how isolated it is, or I get sometimes being in Canada, being in Kelowna. And we just talked about how it's been, it's really hard to make and keep friends as an adult, right? So that was what
It
inspired the
is.
topic. And I
Yeah,
want to put
it
it to
is.
you. I want to open the floor with that question, right? When was the last time that you made a new friend? Like, can you think back to when you made a new friend, the last time that happened?
Uh,
Hmm. That's a loaded question, man.
do you want to go first?
No, you see, go first. It's a loaded question. I think
To be
adulthood
fair,
is adulthood is man, it's serious. You see, go
to be
on.
fair, yeah, to be fair with me,
Mm,
um, I understand what you're trying to say, Mr. Paddy, but yeah, it's
You
kind
asked
of
you.
difficult. It's kind of difficult to make friends at an adult stage.
No
But the last
waiting
time I
you
made
asked
friends,
you. No
which
waiting
is
you
it?
asked you.
Stop interrupting me, OJ. Come on,
why you cutting it off?
let me at my pace. What's wrong with you, bro? Uh, anyways, the last time I made friend was, I would say, 8 months ago. He was actually a friend I met at work. I got transferred to a new city,
Yeah,
and um, he's close to my age, and I feel like we work with the same team, so we were like work colleagues. And I realized that we have a little bit similarities, and obviously he's from Nigeria, which made it a bit more easier for me to communicate with him. So he needed something from me. He had an issue that he wanted help with, and I was able to help him on that. So since then, we just connected. So that was the last time I made a friend. Well, I think it's still early to call him like a friend because it's still just 8 months ago. But yeah,
yeah. So that 8 months. How about you, OJ?
Honestly, I think the first question will be how you
Just
define
How you do?
answer
What's
the
a
question.
friend? Abi,
I
because
will
people,
interrupt you the way you interrupted me. Answer the
because
question.
people try around the word friend a lot, but that's a good
exactly
start actually. So how would you define friend,
exactly.
OJ?
So I so there are acquaintances. There are people you meet, in your day to day life. People you have to interact with in your day to day life, and you have to be cordial and civil with them, right? So, but does that really make them friends? Because I do have a take that friends have to be somebody that you have a more a kind of deeper relationship with, not just the surface. How are you? I'm good. Okay, take care of yourself and stuff like that. So
OJ,
if
you are
that
defining
if
gay. You
wait
ask your question about friendship.
wait now, no verse.
What the hell? What is deeper relationship? Hmm?
so
Guy, you cannot
so
use that
that
word in the podcast. But how can you use the word deeper relationship? Hmm?
yeah, actually, define it how you wish. Define it how you wish. But if you are really asking me the last time I made a friend, man, I think it's years, man. I've
Yes,
not
man.
I've not made a new friend in ages. When I mean years, I don't mean 2 3 years, or I mean in what 5 years,
Mad.
If you
really.
don't mind me asking
You know,
OJ, when you mean a new friend, like
You
mhm.
how do you
see,
categorize as friends? Because I
you
feel like
see,
you've
you
not met
see.
anyone that
So now
you
you're
can
taking him
actually
back to the same
call.
question that you cut him
You,
off on.
s- you see, I was trying to
No,
define what I
no,
meant by
Mr. Mike,
friend.
I
You
got him
follow me
off on
there,
the word
argue.
using
No,
deeper relationship. Like it
yes.
triggered me a little bit.
Okay, let me
Go on.
okay, let me define. Okay, let me define what I mean by a deeper relationship. So, I said initially that there are people who you meet every day on your day-to-day activities. You have to interact with them. You have to be civil with them, cordial. You maybe
Yeah,
even render one or two assistances. Things on a very shallow and surface level. But the type of bond that we have, something like what we have, or even something slightly shallower than what we have. I'm not sure I've made a friend in the past 5 years. At least since my real adult life began, since I started having
yeah,
real work and real responsibilities. Everybody who I have interacted with in this period of time has always had a purpose. It's not about, hey, what's up, how you doing? There has always
yeah.
been a purpose to it.
And I'm sorry for cutting you off. And I
Yeah,
feel
go
like
on.
I feel like that's one of the biggest change with friendships in adult age. Everything should have a purpose. It doesn't take away from the
Exactly.
fact that the person is a friend. Yet, I know for me, the most recent friend that I made is about the same time as before. It was before summer of last year, so that will be about 8 months from now, right? And we met in church, and we just happened to live in the same area. That was about the same time that I moved across the bridge to where I live now. We happened to live in the same area, and we kept hanging out. Summer came around, we got together. My family and his family got together a number of times to do stuff, and we just got close over time.
You
Um,
see, that's real friendship.
yeah, but still, though, he does have a purpose in my life. He's also in the startup space. So we get together a lot to talk about startup and startup world. He's also a devout Christian, so we talk about Christianity and the Bible quite often as well. So he's having the purpose. He doesn't just come in to say hello, how
Yeah,
far.
yeah. So you see, yeah, people. So they can serve dual purposes. Like there could be your friend and still serve a purpose, but I think a friend will have to be defined as somebody you could maybe in the evening on a weekend. You just want to go hang out with that person so that you guys
Hmm.
can talk about stuff. Yeah, I'm not sure I've done that in a while. It's the old friends I have had in a
Yeah.
while that I have continued to keep. I can't really point to one new friend that I have made. It's crazy, man.
That is actually mad crazy. Not because of the situation itself, but because of you being in Nigeria. Because I don't know if it's the same for you, Ufo. Every time that I talk about like isolation and lack of community, I always attribute it to like the Western world, and I never see it as a Nigerian thing. So it's quite
It's,
eye-opening to hear you say you have this experience in Nigeria. Do you feel the same way, Ufo, or is it just me? Do you also blame, like, 'cause you say your last was 8 months ago? Do you think that's a thing of UK, or that's just the way
The
the
truth
world works?
with the UK, UK is not as big as Canada,
Mm-hmm.
and the population in Canada, you guys are partially dispersed. You guys are like dispersed all over the place. For example, if you want to travel from British Columbia to Ontario, I mean, it's like a lot of miles to fly or to drive. In the
That's true.
UK, from London to Birmingham is like an hour, 40 minutes. From Birmingham to Manchester is like an hour, 40 minutes drive. So
Yeah.
it's not really a big country. People live like you can, even if you have a friend that is far away from you, you guys can always meet up easily. So I understand where you're coming from, but I would say that it was easier for me to make friends when I was in Nigeria compared to the UK because we are busy. We are busier here. People don't even have time to come out and do stuffs because either they're working or they
Yeah.
have an event. But what makes it a little bit better, you know, maybe with Canada is because we are very close. We are not far away from each other. You can always meet up at the
Yeah.
slightest. Uh,
Abby.
The slightest
So,
provocation.
so for OJ, now,
my
what
homeboy
would you
just
say
left
is the
my
reason
house.
for your? Sorry, go ahead,
My
before.
homeboy, my homeboy just left my house. Just today actually. He came
Yeah.
from Birmingham, stayed 4 days with me, and yeah, like he worked from home from my house. It wasn't really far from him. It was like maybe 2 hours drive coming down here.
Yeah.
And so, but imagine if he was in Canada and you have a homeboy maybe in Vancouver, before you go see him, you think about the flights, the distance. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's not
Yeah.
bad here.
What I'm hearing you say, Mufo, is that proximity plays a huge role in building friendships or even maintaining friendships,
Yeah,
especially as an adult over 25. Right.
yeah, I think, yeah.
But OJ, in your case, you've not made a new friend now for 5 years.
Yes.
what do you?
Okay, so,
What would you say is the problem?
so,
No, but
What
we need
would you say
to,
is what's causing that?
okay, let's say maybe 5 years is a stretch. I know say it is 5 years, but come, let's use
OJ
3 years.
has been busy making female friends. That's the thing.
in my wife.
With my
OJ the
wife. So,
scout.
So,
so I think
so
she's not going to cross that far.
Uh-huh.
I do think there is a lot of a me problem when it comes to making new friends.
Hmm.
So I think that is one part that I have to acknowledge. I'm not an outdoor person, and then I don't have a lot of activities that I do outside of work. And when I mean work, I mean the actual job that I do during the day and some of the other projects that we're working on. Other than that, I prefer to stay home, watch Netflix, and chill and press my phone. I do watch a lot of movies. I'm an actual movie person. So there is a lot of that then, but then there is also this thing about, again, it's a me problem, okay?
Yeah.
So there's this thing about um being kind of a weird person. So I don't, okay, let me not be using I now, but there are people who do not like the normal stuff other people like. So I like football. I watch it when I can,
Hmm.
but it's not an actual thing for me to, wake up, shower, to go and like it doesn't interest me that much. Okay, yes, I
Yeah.
think I found the word I'm looking for. So at this point in my life, there aren't a lot of things that interest me. So I just be at home, watch a movie, press my phone and sleep. Man, I really do like my sleep too.
Yeah.
So I think it's a me problem, even
Yeah.
though it is still
Okay, we have
difficult to make
we have to
friends.
we have to
Yeah.
investigate.
Difficult to
But
But
make friends
I have
as an
I have
adult.
lived. Sorry, Paddy, I have to interrupt OJ a
go
little bit
ahead. Go
because
ahead.
yeah, I've lived this kind of life before. I have lived a life where I like to be a homebody, and I know what it comes with. I know what it comes with, OJ.
what does it come with?
You have to be very honest with us and tell us the movie you're watching. Are you watching it alone? Do you have what? Do you complain?
I
Explain
watch.
yourself.
So when I watch
Who has
movies,
the target on your back, Uji?
don't mind now,
No,
don't
let
mind now,
me
they
explain
bother
it.
me. See,
Yeah.
when I watch movies with attention. Are I don't know if you can get this, but while I'm watching a movie, occasionally I pause, go back, rewind it a bit to be sure I get what
What you're
they
saying?
are trying to fool me with. So I pick up all those tiny, tiny details that can be annoying that other people will not pick. But I prefer to watch movies alone because I'm watching them to understand, not just. So again, it is a me problem. It's not necessarily that
I
make,
know, I know.
but
You're a
making
movie
friends is
director.
difficult
You want
as
to
an adult.
you want
Yes.
to understand how the movie is made, the script and the rest.
Yeah,
You
yeah, do
see,
research.
like,
I know, I know.
But no, it's okay.
you don't see
I
the
want to pick on
sweat.
I want to pick on one thing that Uji said. Uji talked about being on your phone last week, but we talked about social media and relationships, and then we're talking about social media from the perspective of dating and the impact it's had in like
Mm,
love life and all that. Let's add this twist now to it. Maybe not twist, maybe more of a lens. Has social media also impacted how we do friendships?
yes.
Is it in a good or in a bad way?
That's so again, I do like to be fair about the things I say and how I make claims.
Hmm.
So I cannot say in a good way or say it is in a bad way. It could be both, but then it has affected how we relate with our friends. So there's a lot of show life that people do these days where social media is for oppressing people. And yeah, part of my New Year resolution this year is that I would oppress people. so
Ready to be choked.
so so
Wow.
so
Interesting.
sometimes your social media could discourage the type of friends that you want to have. So someone like me who is a quiet person and I like to take things slower than usual.
Yeah,
And then if I begin to show on my social media that I do this operation kind of stuff, I kind of push away the type of friends that I would actually enjoy hanging out with, and then I attract the ones that I don't enjoy
yeah, you
hanging out
don't.
with. I don't know if you get what I mean. Like,
Yes, I totally get it. I totally get it. And you know what? That is the actual reason why I left social media, at least for my own personal social media, because of that oppressive mindset. But I want to shift gears a little bit. I see we're almost at time, so I'm just going to try and keep this short. Um, we've established that one of the things needed to make adult friendship work is proximity, right? Let's talk about effort or intentions, right? Adult friendship also need intentionality for it to flourish. Do you think it's something that, or a personal question to you now, should you rather be the host or be the one that is being hosted? So, like, at what point do you decide this is the time to be intentional and actually put in effort? I don't know. Does that question make sense? I know that's when the question
rotation
you.
makes sense, makes sense.
Yeah.
But I want
Ufo.
you to answer. I don't want
Okay,
my head.
Ufo is for you.
I'm asking you, do you mean effort in the friendship or effort in what?
Effort in
Yes,
like in the friendship.
in making the friendship work.
Yeah.
All right. So, first of all, I would, because I've not spoken about social media and context of it. I think OJ said that the oppressors and the other people. I think just that our social media, sorry, I think social media has helped friends to connect in several ways. In fact,
I
it
did
has.
not say it did not help to connect. To I did not say it
No,
does not help to connect.
I'm not tackling you, OJ. Okay, it's fine. But the thing is,
Okay, sorry. I thought we
to
were doing that stuff.
to answer the question, OJ, Paddy, I've come to realize that there are some really good, genuine friends that you've made in the past that even if you guys are not very close to each other in terms of proximity,
Hmm.
you know, once in a while you guys can have a very good chat and it feels like how it used to be. Honestly, I have friends that I made when I was in secondary school, in uni, that are quite close to me. I don't speak to them every day. I don't even speak to them. I can call them once in 6 months, you know, just to chat. So
Mm.
I think when the proximity is close, the expectation should be higher, because you can now say, okay, he lives close to me, he can host, or you can host. But when you guys are far away, maybe in two different countries, and you guys are chasing your individual dreams, it's
Yeah.
just once in a while you guys can check in. But it's not going to be the same as calling constant. Like, even with OJ, for example, I speak to OJ, but sometimes when me and OJ have no project, I will not call him for over 3 months. Even you, Paddy, sometimes I don't even call you for over 9 months.
You know, they
It
reach
happens.
3 months, so me and you they talk like me and you will be like
OJ,
my babe.
You know your money.
when I fired you, OJ, when I fired you, how long? We stopped talking for over 9 months.
Okay. I see what time here. We'll continue this conversation, but we have not finished it. We still have a long way to go. And that question about intentions and hosting and not hosting is still open. So we'll pick it up in the next episode. Again, last week we talked about social media and relationship, and I invite you to go check it out. This is 21 minutes where we talk about real life experiences, share different perspectives from different parts of the world. If you enjoy what we do or what we talk about, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. If you don't like it, share with your
You
friends
must like
still.
it.
Share with your friends still. Let them feel pain for a bit. You're welcome.
I'm telling you.